and they had not had the opportunity. So, believe me, we had planned to have it from 2 to 5. At 8:30, we were still there, and I had to end it. But we had many other people who wanted to come up, and we were only hearing from those who were in management positions or who had been either current or former franchisees.
Okay,
and most of them were Burger King. And
let's do this then, because I don't want to make it just a focus on one particular entity,
right.
So because we'll get off our subject a little bit. But we have a call coming in from Stone Mountain. We're going to go to it and get our viewers involved and see what they have to say about what we're talking about.
Okay,
right?
Thank you.
Okay, you're on the air. Go right ahead, caller.
Yes, I'd like to address the panel, especially the senator and the news reporter there I think you have.
Okay.
This might be off the subject just a little bit.
But don't take us too far off, please.
Okay. But I'd like to know, how would you explain to your children, since the angry white man said that they are not responsible for what their forefathers done, somebody's responsible. Since they are entering the affirmative action program, that means that we have to explain to our children that we are responsible for what happened to them. You know, so
did you get the question?
Can someone comment on that?
Okay, would you repeat the question, please, and kind of do it briefly? Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, repeat your question to the panel, please.
My question is, since the angry white men are trying to say that they are not responsible for what happened, for their forefathers done to the black people, and they are trying to end the affirmative action program.
Okay.
Now, somebody is responsible. So that means that we are supposed to tell our children that that they are responsible for it. I mean, I would think the affirmative action program was something for restitution for what was happening, not just, I mean, if it's reverse discrimination, so be it. You know, I mean, it's just something that has to be done for a wrong that was done.
Okay, let's get them involved. Let's get the panel involved in that question. I think it was an excellent question. Go ahead.
Question. I think, of course, we have to tell our children the truth. I mean, the affirmative action is based upon there's been historic discrimination. At the same time, there was a journalist in South Africa by the name of Stephen Biko, and he said, black people, you're on your own. Okay, we have to recognize that we have to utilize the resources within our community. She mentioned $300 billion, that we have to take responsibility for that. We should challenge them on what we're owed in terms of reparations or whatever justice can be done economically. But we have to begin to take responsibility for ourselves in terms of developing the institutions that are necessary in our community to make our people self-determining.
Okay, I think that the question was really directed to me as far as how affirmative action is being used now because of what's happening as far as many of the Caucasians who are saying that they're not responsible. Could you address that for us?
Well, I think that I could really address it since I work with nearly 40 in the Senate of angry white males who happen to think that we were taking their jobs and their rights from them. I think that we tried to educate them. Again, I think it's ignorance. They are denying what really happened, and they think that we've already leveled the playing field. They think that we've already come to a certain level where everything is equal. But racial discrimination, as all of us know, is alive and well.
Are we reactionaries today?
Many people are reactionaries, but we tried to be proactive in the House and Senate this year when we stopped the attempt to stop affirmative action in Georgia by Representative Earhart, who did put in a bill, but it, thank goodness, died in committee because we came together and formed a coalition and we discussed it. And it was not just the African Americans, the Black Caucus. We also had many Democrats and Republicans who felt the same way that we did, and we discussed it and we killed it in committee.
Okay, you want go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yes, but a journalist, although maybe Darryl too. But just briefly, I was going to say we've taken the position of paper that we know that affirmative action is not going to be here forever, and probably our grandchildren will not have affirmative action. Even our former Mayor Maynard Jackson made that comment. But we've taken a position, you don't just pull the rug on affirmative action. You try to analyze and monitor what how the programs have worked, how they have failed, and that's where you go from there to improve, not to repeat the mistakes of the past, but certainly you don't pull the rug on it. And like she said, racism is still a reality in this country, and we got a long way to go to close that gap. And until we can narrow that gap more, we're going to need the intent to do right, and that's what affirmative action is, to give people the intention to make the playing ground equal.
Okay, before we go on, I got to go to a break, you know, and I appreciate you sticking with us, but keep your thoughts, because I'm going to come right back to you, okay?
As a whole, I think they tend to blow out or misinterpret what we have to say, but if you want me to be specific, I would say that things that Farrakhan say are really blown out of proportion. I don't agree with everything he says, but he does a lot of good for us as a black people as a whole. But far as what he says, I think the media blows him way out of proportion.
Of course, what you see is kind of what you believe, and most people through media receive their education about the public, whether it's a public figure or politician or someone of that nature. So I think people tend to take for what they see in the media as 100%, and most of the time that's not the case.
Being white and married to a black man, my views have really changed. Like with Louis Farrakhan, I believe, you know, a lot of things that he says, but, you know, living, you know, with a black man and black children, I see that the views are right, you know, and listening to the media, I see how they change things.
But I think that the media does stereotype our leaders. I really do think that. I think it's a process of just misrepresentation and us not having control as it relates to media outlets. I have to reflect back with the Million Man March with Louis Farrakhan, where Colin Powell was interviewed, I think, on Good Morning America, and he said that he didn't come or would not come to the march because it would have gave it credibility. So what are you saying, Colin Powell? Who says that because you're there gives a movement with over 1 million people there credibility? Or with Angela Davis, you know, she was on another talk show, might have been Good Morning America too, I can't remember the name of the show, but Angela Davis comes on talking down about Farrakhan and that type of march that we had. And here's Angela Davis back in the 60s robbing banks. I think a judge got killed or somebody got killed. She did time in jail, and now you've more sophisticated in your way of thinking that you have to down another brother?
Well, I can't say I don't think. I know that they're not fair. You just watch TV, and every time you see something negative, it's black. I think that there usually is there are always two sides to every issue, and I think a lot of times that the media intentionally goes out and they find people who will create controversy, and that's what they do. That's what they do.
If people would know Jesus Christ more and seek the Lord, that there would be no problem. But see, the media is in opposition to, you know, the Word of God, and truth is about capitalism normally.
Yeah, I would say that the media is very, very one-sided when it comes to African Americans in general. They tend to portray African Americans in a negative light most of the time. They never really focus on any of the positive aspects that African Americans have.
No, I think they do a very good job, and I think that they do not misconstrue their words. I believe that.
Sometimes I think that when something happens to African Americans, they like to change the story around, and I don't think that's right, but sometimes they don't do it, and sometimes they do it. But it would be nice, like, if something happened, if they could really, really tell what really happened instead of changing the story around.
Even with black women, we have a tendency to fear our men from what we see on the media. We don't see the other side of the volunteers for the big brother and sister programs. We don't see the community programs that go on over the weekends. We don't see the brothers in church or different activities that are working and giving back to the community. That's never displayed. We always see the negative, and it's got to stop.